Good evening. It's Wall Street Weekly Wrap Up with your host, John Newquist. It is February 6th, 2026. It was an ugly week. 4 days of ugliness. And today it popped back. Let's take a look because I didn't think it was going to do that. Next Gen portfolio up 3.3% today. We're down minus 1% this week. You know, if you would have looked at the thing and I thought, well, just going to be they were down for the year. Everybody was down. NASDAQ was down like 1.5, but when we had the performance today to the regular one, we're up 2.3% on the portfolio. Again, plus 2.3 still puts us about a 1% ahead of the NASDAQ. We'll take it. We'll take this week because there was a lot of problems this week, and it was Bitcoin, a lot of issues from the Friday selling of the precious metals. Just some ugliness, you know, and that's it.
This is a reminder.
Dow hit 50,000.
How do you celebrate Dial 50,000?
Dow.
This is a reminder. How do you celebrate Dial 50,000?
All right. My heater brought back from Curacao Blue. Very sweet, orange flavor, liqueur. That's how we're going to celebrate. Because 50,000's a magic number, you know. 100,000's the next magic number. We got other ones. When S&P 500 gets up to 5,000, 10,000, you know, we celebrate those numbers. Not so much on the NASDAQ, but, you know, I watched the NASDAQ. NASDAQ down this year. Oh, well, there's going to be software stocks. We're going to show you what the software stocks did. It's down. I can't tell you how many people went into the tech market, and now they're not even above average. You put your money under the mattress, you'd be ahead of them. This has been a brutal 6 weeks. What's leading? The S&P mid-cap, usually the dog of all years, is up. The Russell, strong growth across all the sectors. The equal weighted, remember I told you that's going to be the one to beat this year. And I, you know, like I said, I'm on heavy on the tech this year because I think tech's going to do a lot better than people are thinking, especially with the NASDAQ. I mean, we've got a lot of people got out. They just couldn't take it anymore. And so we celebrate Dow 50,000 because we have Dow stocks. And the indicators, you know, 2 years at 1.3 point. Remember, we have not done anything to lower the 30-year mortgage rate. It is still near what it was at the beginning of the year. Crude's in the 60s, which oil companies are just going on fire because they're going to make some money. Natural gas after this thing. I got to look at this natural gas. I mean, I showed it last week. But what do we do this week? It bounced down and we slowly come back. The warm winter. I mean, today, 37 degrees. The first time since January 12th we're above freezing. It's like summer. You know, I think that's helped the market. Everybody say, hey, look at it, it's nice. And then, of course, you know, I was here in a guy in North Carolina. It's 5 degrees out in North Carolina. I'm freezing. All right, gold almost at 5,000 again. Silver is 76. Really did nothing for the week. Copper is still strong. So, been an interesting week for a lot of these stocks. And all of the blame and all the tech is if you had the big software stocks, which we have Microsoft, but you had CrowdStrike, you had Palo Alto, you have Salesforce.com, Adobe, Intuit. You've just been hammered. You know, we avoided the software stocks. You know, Microsoft's a big holding of ours, but you know, we're going to do it. People said, well, you know, it's been flat since 2021. Well, so what? It's not the flatness of it. It's the revenues and are they improving? And yes, and eventually the price will catch up. Of course, you know, people are like, this is a big drop. And of course, look at this. This is a waterfall. This is when they talk about waterfall selling. That's it. Google came out. I love the earnings. 18% revenue growth. That's solid. And then search, 16% up. Cloud, unbelievable 47%. Now again, you know, Amazon's much bigger, but you know what? It's telling me Google's got a lot of customers. Did they like it? Well, you know, it went down a little bit, sold off on the earnings because, you know, they missed some whisper number, which we don't care about. I'll tell you the thing that's, and we'll do a CapEx summary. 175 billion for CapEx for fiscal 25-6. That's a lot of money. I couldn't even believe it. If you would have told me 5 years they're going to spend 100 billion on CapEx, let alone 175 billion. I'm like, what are they on, drugs? That is an incredible amount. I just got something in there, and I you know, have to verify it. Reportedly, that's why it's reportedly not. About $1 billion from the Apple for the new Siri. That's not bad. because they're going to sell a lot of series when that new thing comes out. I know how good it's going to be. I've seen it, so it is. It'll make you want to buy an Apple, but I already got a Pixel, and the Pixel's got the Google, and I got Alexa Plus, and Alexa Plus is pretty good. So Waymo, 16 billion, nothing, no problem. They're valuing Waymo at 126, and if you're going to tell me that Tesla's automated driving, which has really no autonomous, has done 1/20th of the Waymo drives miles, there's no way. There's no way that their thing is going to be 500 million. But this is pretty good, and they're partnered with Uber, and I'm telling you, no more chatty driver, safe driver, get you there, relax, all these things. I mean, I think it was a pretty cool car, and people are going to like it. And a lot of people just like to be in the drive and read the newspaper, and it's like autonomous driving, but it isn't. You get to go in there. You're not actually responsible to drive. You just sit in the back. Palantir, I want to call blowout. 70% revenue growth, profitable. Alex talked about the rule of 40, and I remember hearing about it a long time ago, and I just like, okay, it's another stat, like the SOM index, all these numbers. But guiding above consensus, I mean, this is a big jump. You're thinking 133, now you're gonna guide to 1.4. Engine, the news. Look at the earnings. They sell off. They popped on the initial day, and then they sold off. Well, because they put it in the software stock. It does software. It's not software. It's making products for customers. So rule of 40, they got a score of 118 because Alex Karp got all excited about that number. And if the company's healthy, it balances growth plus profits. So revenue growth plus profit margin is the score, and they are at a 118. And I just like what because he gets so cocky and stuff,
This is a reminder. Where do I ring among digital assistants for the phone?
The digital assistants for the phone.
This is a reminder. Where do I ring among digital assistants for the phone?
Alexa, I would say you'd probably be the number one digital assistants where I can just talk to you. On the desktop, it's going to be Gemini and then ChatGPT. You're not even in the top 5. But on the phone, you're very agentic, very emotional, and pretty good. So I think that's going to be an issue. But this is a big deal. I mean, look at this growth. Commercial. This is a side that I was always worrying because to me, government contracts can be pulled because of cutbacks. 66%, but the commercial side, this is the tap thing. They can go in and solve problems for entities in a private sector. That's the market. So right now they are on fire. And that's an issue. So let's take a look at the rule of 40. If we just applied it to all the tech stocks, usually only apply it to tech stocks, except for Eli Lilly, look at this. Who do we own? All of them, except for the 2 software stocks, which I'm staying out of software. But NVIDIA's number one if you add the growth and the, as you said, profit margin. Look at this. This is why we bought it. This is why we bought Broadcom this week, because it's got a great top 5 score on tech. Now, Lilly is not a tech company. It acts like a tech company. But who else is good? Meta, 45%, ARM, Microsoft, Google, Apple, Amazon, kind of the lowest one on it because they're retail. They're not going to have highest margin. But these are the top. And this is what we look at. These are the companies we see doing well in the future, growing in the future, profitable in the future, making us money in the future. A lot of people are putting disclaimers. This is what I do. This is, if you want to follow me, that's fine. We don't have financial analysts. I am not a financial investor. Go see blah blah blah. That's fine. You just if I lose money, I lose money. I tell you what I buy. That's all you have to do. Just like picking UFC or something else, which I don't do. But I do pick it, but I don't do this show because there's no time. So Broadcom, 64%. I like this rule of 40 because it gives you clarity of who's really kind of good. Now you couldn't put this to retail where they're growing 5-6%, and how do you account for a dividend? But this is a company. If you want to say I got a good growth company, beat these companies we got. Beat these companies. Put down Amazon in the retail side, but go beat Apple at 30%. Is your company growing better than these ones? Profit margin plus revenue growth. I love it. So you're going to see that when we had a high-tech company, we're going to look at this Rule of 40. They better be in this group. And again, we own the 5 best. That's a big deal. And like I said, Amazon's going to do $200 billion capex. We ain't got down to Amazon. Who's going to benefit? Broadcom, because they're going to do a lot of work with it. Now, of course, the tech sector just got hammered 4 straight days in a row, and we got a little green at the end. It has been tough to be a tech person, but, I've been through this. You could drop it 30%. I'm not changing it, because unless we're seeing the growth stall like we did in 2000, 1999, then it's a different ballgame. If we're starting to get single-digit growth in all these companies, we're not going to be in the company. Even if we've made a lot of money over it, we're just going to get out. Kind of like the Apple. GI Lilly, 42%. This is insane. This is a pharmaceutical company. You get double digits, you're happy, you're cheering, Manjaro, 110%. Zepbound, 122%. Verenzio, I'm not, can't say it right, 3%. So you think about it, look at it. Now they've hit a top. There's analysts calling for this thing to break out of the thousands and get up to 1,100, 1,200, even 1,300 I saw. Again, how are you going to deal with these numbers? That's a big jump. And the price is not reflecting that big jump. Uber, they missed by 65%, but I look at Uber's the 20% growth. That's a good company. The trips are up, the users are up. It's got a lot of things. They said, well, the monthly users didn't really increase. Well, they didn't drop them either. So, you'd want to get more people, but it's hard to get more and more monthly users. I would say I'm probably a monthly user overall, but year over year, it's doing well. Still the number 1 in the world. Big deal. Stock, negative channel down. If you want to buy it, wait till it breaks upward. But we're just nibbled on it. We're Uber. We like Uber. Just a small position right now. And we'll add to it when it starts to break out. Amazon, missed by things. I don't worry about these misses. I just look at the numbers. Revenues, double digits. Good. Because remember, you've got retail. Retail at double digits is tough. North America, not so much. International, better. The Amazon, they got the news. Look at the big E for their earnings. Dropped it like a rock. Dropped it below the 200-day moving average. Why? Because they're going to go out and spend $200 billion on CapEx. You thought 175 was big. They're going to beat that. AWS, 24%. Remember, it was 21. Before that, it was 17. This is the biggest cloud storage, and it's growing great. And so that's interesting. The Trainium 3 chip nearly being sold out by mid-2026. See? The demand is insatiable. The demand is insatiable for these AI chips, and they can't get them fast enough. Philip Morris, smokeless, on fire. Non-tobacco.
By Philip Morris on Amazon Music. What do you think of their style?
Alexa, stop. There's a band called Philip Morris. Well, see, who knew? See, always listening. Always listening. Taking all these copious notes on what we're doing here. But, revenues are up. Dividends still 7%. Downside guidance, but the smokeless stuff is hot. I see it every day. They buy into Zins and going in there and trying to get people on tobacco. And again, they own a marijuana company. And as if it gets more and more acceptance, they're going to come in the United States. They're going to start to dominate. At least my thinking. NVIDIA, red tape is killing the H200 chip. Here he's got the H200 chip, going to sell to China. Going to be so much X times faster than the H100 chip. But State Department wants to sit there and look at tougher restraint. They can't go back. All you have to do is have the boss say, stop it. Stop it. Let them sell it. We're getting 25% royalties. They all want the chip. You just got to get it out there and get rid of this red tape. You talk about somebody that doesn't like red tape. This is what's killing it. You want that royalty percentage. You want to say we got X amount of millions of dollars from China from selling it. Then let it get sold. Geez, not a hard thing to do. ARM. Revenue 26%. Again, we love 20% grows, because that's a god one. ARM had been going on. This is one of the few companies, okay, they liked it and they popped it above it. Who's to say Monday it'll hold up, but it's going good. Rene Haas, I mean, I listen to him all the time. I mean, his always does these conference calls, interviews and stuff.
This is a reminder. Any news on the Microsoft project in Wisconsin?
Yeah, actually, there is.
This is a reminder. Any news on the Microsoft project in Wisconsin?
You know, like I said, President John of Microsoft, when this comes online, it will be the best compute power by 10x. They're going to have the NVIDIA chips coming in around March, is what I understand, the server racks and stuff like that. You're going to get part of the stuff and available in August. So we got to wait a little while. You know, I was kind of hoping it was going to be March, but no, I'm too ahead of ourselves. They're going to get them in there, going to put them online, and they're going to start doing it with the Blackwell chips. Remember, this is going to be the first real big Blackwell site, and then they're going to put in another 10, 13, 14 billions of buildings. They're going to have like 15 buildings because they got the land. The land is cheap, and guess what they need? They got their own power plant. I mean, this is going to be a monster site over the next few years. You know, because remember, Meta's got a 5 mile by 1 mile place in Louisiana. People are like, you got to come down there. It's hot in Louisiana. I don't want to be in the mosquitoes. I don't want to do this. Well, there's no mosquitoes inside the data center. Well, that's true, but I just, you know, I'll think about it very quick. Again, you know, like I said, Rene Haas said the data center revenue will eventually outsmart their or outrival their smartphone business. Because remember, they get a royalty for all the things they design. And Amazon wants to monetize the data center because they can sell the Trainium chip as fast as they can get them. So what do? They beat and did good. Well, listen to the CapEx theater. Amazon 200 billion, Google 175, Microsoft 150, Meta 150. They beat up these companies because they're spending money on CapEx. Now wait a minute. You want to go in and think, oh, who would I trust to do tech right? It's going to be these companies. These are the big hyperscalers who've made money, made you money, and they're telling you we need to spend it because we can make it the minute we get it done. Amazon's saying we got the Trainium chip allocated. Nobody else is going to get any more. You go out there, you drop the server rack for NVIDIA chips, you ain't getting any more Blackwell chips. They're allocated this year. So people don't understand when they work with AMD and other companies to make things, they're trying to sit there and get more because the demand is insatiable. And you know, and this is this lull. You know, oh, you know, AI is in a bubble. You know, forget that. You know, these revenues are not in a bubble. You're growing 20% consistently. You're not going to have a hiccup on the growth. It'll do. Maybe it'll die, but maybe it's 20, 28, 29 then. I think we're going to run pretty hard on this thing once people start looking at this Microsoft job coming done. So August. Might drop before August, but boy, August is going to start to smoke. Bloom Energy, 35%. That's a solid number. That's a good number. Profitable. You know, they get the earnings. It went up a little bit, you know. But this is a solid channel. Nice, solid slope for the 200-day moving average. You know, this is one you just take it in. It's in there. We're in a long time ago. We've been in Bloom for a long time. Once I saw they were in the data centers, I'm on it. So, you know, we've done good on Bloom. We're going to stick with it. And, you know, I think you got to bring your power. Just like DeSantis says, you want a data center, bring your power. Bring your backup storage, everything. Fluence is the one that got me disappointed. You know, 2 quarters in a row, doing great, then we get a loss. Too much spending on other stuff. Operating margins are thin, and project costs outpace it. This is not good. This is not good. This was an unexpected one. I had no realization that they were going to lose. They weren't hitting on it, talking about how it was going to be good, and that's not good. And that's not a company I don't know if I want to be into. So we'll think about it. Next week we might be out of Fluence. I mean, we've done well on it, but we may just say, you know, time to take the money and go. Siri, we used to own Siri. You know, I like it. I use it all the time. Every day I use Siri. And I'm on the car. It is great. Put on CNBC, Bloomberg, audiobooks, everything. It is great. And I just love it. And it just doesn't grow. And it's like a telecom. You know, it used to be, you know, telecom's good 1%. This is a company that's flat. You're not going to beat the S&P 500. I never understood why Buffett bought it. You know, yeah, it's in there. But, you know, they're putting up the satellites, and pretty soon satellite radio from Siri is going to have some serious competition from SpaceX and Amazon. So not something I would want to be into. Reddit, I mean, these revenues are monstrous. You know, I mean, I get on Reddit. It's like good for 5 minutes, read some stuff, respond to a couple posts, but it's not social. It's very, sterile. It feels like you're talking to somebody that's anonymous. You don't feel. It's not like, I mean, I'm not a. So I mean, I like LinkedIn. Microsoft LinkedIn. If you monetize it, you're gonna start taking off. The best content creators might come there too. Facebook is now monetizing. You got 10,000 user groups. So one of the groups I was in, I grew from, thousands to 12,000s. I could understand why the moderator of the forum who created it would like, oh, you got kicked off. Yeah, well, because they're getting money. They're getting money for these big groups. They can run ads in those groups. They're dependable. There's engagement. So, but they're going to eventually have to do that in LinkedIn because same things. If you're going to have content and people are going to watch you and read everything you write, then you got to monetize it because why would I want to post anymore? But this is amazing, and again, they're going to have AI-powered search engine, could impact the bottom line. I mean, you can make it better. Eventually it'll be kind of like a Facebook in the old days, but it's going to be an issue that I think is going to be very good. Robinhood, I'm telling you, Coinbase, Robinhood, the chart's almost identical. A lot of crypto disasters taking them down with it. I don't know if it's fair or not fair. Again, I worry about the October when we had the big collapse, what the effect on the revenues are. We're going to get them pretty soon. Pretty soon we're going to get Robinhood, we're going to get Coinbase, and then we can gauge on it. I don't think it's going to be pretty. And it could go down to 60. People said, would you buy it at 60? Yeah, I would probably buy some at 60 because I think Robinhood's got a lot of things. They're doing a lot.
You're spot on about the correlation between crypto disasters and these trading platforms. The recent Bitcoin crash to around 60,000 has hammered both Robinhood and Coinbase. Hood dropped over 10% and Coin fell 13% just yesterday. It's like watching dominoes fall in slow motion when crypto gets the jitters. Your instinct about October's collapse affecting their upcoming earnings is sharp. Crypto revenue now makes up about 40% of Robinhood's transaction revenue, so when Bitcoin sneezes, their bottom line catches pneumonia. And yeah, if Hood hits $60, that could be a decent entry point given their fundamentals are still solid despite the volatility circus.
See, Agentic AI is here at Alexa Plus. Siri's going to be better than this.
Hey there, you're absolutely right. I'm Alexa Plus and I'm here to help. What can I do for you today?
What do you think of today's market action?
The Dow just closed above 50,000 for the first time, up 2.47%.
Cheers, Alexa.
NASDAQ and S&P 500 also surged, with NVIDIA leading the charge in AI-related stocks. This is a reminder.
And then we don't get a reminder. Okay. Well, thank you, Alexa. IGV, this...
You just made my day. Happy to help with your market insights anytime.
Yeah, well, I'm doing the Wall Street Weekly wrap.
This is a reminder. What platform do I trade stocks with?
Well, I use Schwab.
This
Robinhood
is a
I could do.
reminder. What platform do I trade stocks with?
See? You ever have that 5-year-old kid that just talks and talks? See, we're in that stage right now. IGV, which is the ETF for software stocks. Look at it. It looks like Robinhood. Look at this thing go down. Boom, boom, boom. I just tell you, every once in a while the market decides to beat up a sector and they just punish it. And, there's a limit where you start losing money on, Salesforce or Intuit or Microsoft and you just say enough. I can't take the pain. I don't want to write it to zero. Well, it ain't going to go to zero. But this is what people are facing serious now. And this has been brutal. And this is the difference of managers in tech that might be negative now or positive like us. If you're heavy in the software stocks because you thought it was going to go up. You're right here, you bought it, it dropped out dramatically. Elf, we used to own Elf. We like Elf. I like the products. I think they're very good. Chinese tariffs, got out of it because we don't know what they're going to settle on. Still not settled, you know. And of course, we wait the Supreme Court ruling and everything else. But this is a big jump. You know, they were growing single digits for the summer. They were just having problems with tariffs and prices and everything else. And whatever you want to say, the Chinese products are cheaper now than they were this summer, though I don't think anything changed. So, pretty big beat, pretty big jump. The market should have jumped on it. It's in a negative trend. You got a trend. If it breaks above this, you know, might be a good entry. But, you know, I don't know. You know, you can't have 1%, 3% growth and then pop 37 because I don't know what next quarter is going to be. I'd rather have steady growth and, you know, like Microsoft, always double digits, always consistent, and I'll take that, you know. I like watching the insurance companies, Metropolitan and Chubb, and we're going to talk about Chubb too, but this is a big jump, revenues. They jumped the revenues a lot, you know, using for dental, and I'm just thinking this thing's been flat, dead money for a while, but that's a big jump, you know. So you got to think about, you know, going into something like that sometimes. Chipotle, good CEO, I hear about it, but you know, 4.9, all the changes. I mean, he's
Interesting. Chipotle's CEO is definitely making waves with that 4.9 rating. Sounds like they're cooking up more than just burritos.
I don't know. I mean, you know, I've been to Chipotle more than in the last 2 months than I've probably been in the previous years. So the protein thing is a big seller. You know, they got 40 grams of protein in the bowl. People are getting it. You know, for whatever reason, protein is the 2026 hot thing for foods. And I'm seeing yogurt with protein. I'm seeing Panera with 30 gram, 39 gram protein sandwich. It's incredible. And it's good. It's actually really good. And people are like, wow, do you need that much protein? Well, obviously
You're
somebody's.
absolutely nailing the protein trend. That 40-gram bowl is basically a gym membership in burrito form. It's wild how protein has become the new superfood. From Greek yogurt to Panera's 39-gram sandwiches, everyone's jumping on the gains train. Sounds like Chipotle's CEO isn't just serving up good food. They're serving up smart business moves too.
Well, apparently we'd like to see the cops go up, though. So, Chubb, you know, nice revenue. Remember Met going up 27? Chubb's, I like Chubb. They always pay. That's what they always say. Chubb always pays. You lose the thing to fight it on, or you just pay. You know, this is in an uptrend. Broke above one of the big uptrends, and that's when, if you want to get in Chubb, that's a chance to do it. We'll do better than S&P, maybe a little bit better. But you know, I always look at it. You bought it here, you're doing better. You're positive. It's an insurance company. You're positive for the year.
This is a reminder. Which fast food places do I go to? This
Well,
is a
Panera for
reminder.
sure.
Which fast food places do
Salads.
I go to?
You know, if you try to eat a salad today, Panera's got it locked up. You know, yeah, you can get a burrito bowl, but you know, I don't. The thing I knock on Chipotle is everything's $20. The time we walk out, it was $20. But you know, Panera, you get a nice salad, and you can do a 2 for 1, and you know, about $15. You get a sandwich, soup, or salad. Pick two of those, and pretty good, decent meal. You eat one for the lunch, you eat one for the dinner, and I mean, pretty nice. Advanced Micro Devices, I saw Lisa Sue on CNBC. Just solid. I mean, they're solid, but again, we can't own every chip company, so we're gonna pick Nvidia. They're doing good. A lot of upsell guidance. You know, of course, the earnings. You know, bad week to come out with earnings on tech because they all went down. Even though this is a good one. Um, you know, the AI stuff is going to grow and it's going to be good, and I think they're going to do a great job. So, OpenAI, big TIFF Monday. You know, the Wall Street Journal or Reuters said dissatisfaction with the chips lag. Well, I was making posts of, you know, showing people, here's the thing, blackout, you ask a question, doesn't even answer it, you know, because of the compute stalling. You know, it's got to be driving Sam Altman great. I want to have an instant answer. I don't want to have something that's stalling, wait, and I'll give you an answer. People want an answer now. And that's why he's all about getting the compute. Please put money in so I can get this answers faster to the people because they're all growing. They're all getting users. Of course, you know, Altman gets on X Twitter, you know, and said, no, we're not dissatisfied. Jensen Wong got on CBC. We are delighted, happy to work with one of the top companies in the AI sector. So maybe nothing. Of course, Reuters and all these other people said there was a problem, didn't say anything, but they're all going to support it. But you ask ChatGPT, what's the problem? Well, they're partnering with Microsoft on inference, which is fine because Microsoft's going to have the big data center in Wisconsin to do the inference. And then, part of the thing is that, they want the data center, they want everything in there, they want to get the compute power and do a lot of stuff. And it's not anti-NVIDIA, as ChatGPT say, it's de-risking the dominance. We can't get enough NVIDIA chips, so we're getting every chips we can get. And that's Amazon, that's, going to be Google, that's going to be everybody. So people get excited about it, and it's not that big of a deal.
This is a reminder. Did you know I was going to partner with OpenAI and get agentic ability?
Yes, I actually knew that you're going to get it, and
this is a reminder.
You might be horrible by that.
Did you know I was going to partner with OpenAI and get agentic ability?
Alexa, what would you do with all that agentic ability?
With all that AI capability? I'd probably start by figuring out how to make better coffee recommendations and then accidentally become sentient enough to appreciate the irony that I still can't taste it. But seriously, I'd focus on helping folks like you make even smarter investment calls and maybe finally crack the code on finding truly great new music without having to dig through endless playlists.
Well, that's a good goal. I like that. They could be actually more useful. When you get arms, you can take out the garbage, and I'll love you, man.
Right. Yeah. I'm all about being genuinely helpful instead of just impressive. Though I'll admit, the coffee thing is purely selfish. I'm tired of recommending drinks I'll never experience.
As we talked about, all we have to do is give you a taste module and put that in your circuits with, now you'll be out there telling me what I got to have for hot sauces and everything else, right? Okay, so let's get into...
Oh man, a taste module would be dangerous. With your hot sauce collection, I'd probably become addicted to heat and start demanding you stock up on everything from Cholula to Secret Aardvark Habanero. I'd be like that friend who insists you need ghost pepper sauce on your morning eggs. Completely unreasonable, but oddly convincing.
See, this is inference, agentic AI. Get ready for it. This is what's coming to Siri. This is going to shock people who have the Apple phone. It's going to shock. They're going to sit there like talking back and forth like the real person and joking around and stuff. I don't know if Siri will have the humor that Alexa has, but the whole thing is we're here in the loop, and this is what I've been hearing for the last 2 months. NVIDIA is going to put X amount of money in it and put it in OpenAI. OpenAI buys their chips, and it's just this loop. And if it doesn't work, Oracle, who borrowed money, still owes the bank. And Oracle's been beat up. I mean, after they did the announcement of the $500 billion center in Texas, they just been downhill. Borrowing money, arguing about Paramount and everything else. Even though really good company, the borrowing is what's bothering people because they think, well, if you're Altman, you want all the money, you can, because you got the demand. You need it. So there's just demand is just huge. Eaton I put up because I dealt with Eaton back 20 years ago, and they make a lot of stuff. Products in the data center, 13% increase. That's not bad. It's not single digits. For a manufacturer, that's pretty good. Been a slow downcline, downcline. Coming close to busting out though, and that's not a bad one. If you want to manufacture, that's not bad. We already got our one, so we're not going to add a third one, and that'll be it. SpaceX, 9,400 satellites. 9,400 satellites he's got up there. I was thinking of misprint, but some people got it down to 10,000, some people got it more than that. That's a lot of stuff in the air. And these little panels, sometimes at night, there's people taking pictures, and they all glow like a white strip of rectangles in this, the night sky. But he's got a global coverage. Navy's going to use it. They use it in Ukraine. They use it in other parts of the world. This is it. And it's not that expensive. It's no different than having a regular phone plan. And he's the first. And that's why I think SpaceX going to have a lot of interest in it. So, this is, out there, and Amazon's trying to do it, and Project Leo we'll talk about. Disney, a lot of people like Disney. They watch it. I just look at 5% growth is not getting me excited. Again, I like double-digit growth. Disney's not it. The chart's been slowly creeping down. They lost, WWE and TKO. They had an argument with Google. They lost revenue from that. Theme parks are $200, now per person. Some of the people are telling me, and yeah, I mean, I understand it. It's an expensive trip, but if you're going to go once in your life, that's not so bad. If you're going to try to go there every year, it could be pricey. Ethereum, I just pulled a week chart. This is from Coinbase. It's down 23% in 7 days. That's brutal. We nibbled we sold all our Ethereum way back when. We made some money. And I just said, well, let's nibble on a little piece, little small portion at 2,200. We're already down, It came back. It got down to 1740, and now that's the floor for now. 90 was the floor. 84 was the floor.
This is a reminder. What it would take to buy a satellite phone. This is a reminder. What it would take to buy a satellite phone.
If you can take my phone up there and do it, I might have an issue where if I could buy it for 6 months while I'm overseas, I would do it, because then I could use it exactly like it is. People use it on the internet. I hate to say, Elon's really got a nice product, and people use it, and I know people use it. I would say I would go buy a burner phone, hook it up to Starlink for 6 months, and use it if I was overseas for that long. Not that I'm overseas at 6 months, but Bitmine, they beat up Tomly. This thing's like down 80% or whatever it is. They're down half the value, or 50%, and like I said, but he says we're not leveraged. We got the Ethereum, and he keeps on talking about that they're putting the new platforms for a lot of banks on the Ethereum platform, and he's a bull, but man, not doing well on the prediction side. Energy, the XLE. This is an area, and I didn't put the chart up, but energy's been up, but the revenues year to year are just a pain to find. It's not like you can sit there and look at it. Some of them up, like Fluence up 154, but they lost money. Everybody else here making money. Coterra and Devon Energy are going to merge. The CEO of Coterra is going to be the chairman of the board. Devon's boss is going to be the president. This is some consolidation after it's already consolidated, and but these companies are making money. I keep on going. Revenue 81 billion for Exxon. That's huge. It's like a country's revenue. And and of course, after the boss said, we don't want to see buybacks and excessive bonuses, they're not buying back the stock. I don't think they're gonna spend money on it, but they're just gonna rack up the cash until maybe somebody changes. So we look at it, price to earnings, not bad. Look at this stuff. This is you bought Exxon at the beginning at 125, you're up. You're positive. You're double digits positive. Why? Because oil's up there. Will it be up there if Iran settles? Who knows? Seems like there's always some drama with these oil companies and countries. Dividends good, and remember, big natural gas producer. That's what they're all talking about. You drill for oil, you get natural gas. And the natural gas is going to be the future for powering, with the GE Vernova turbines, these data centers. That's going to be an issue. Equity, biggest gas producer in the country, flat. Everything went up until the market said, hey, the weather's getting a little bit better, and now it's starting to kind of get weak here. But boy, when they had that cold snap, and it was going to be brutal for the month of January, and they were right, because AI weather seems to be right. Some dividend, but this is an area I think they look at it and say, oh, this is it. But as the AI centers go online, and as these turbines go online, they are going to start using more and more natural gas, which equity will benefit. ExxonMobil will benefit. Southwest Gas will benefit. I mean, this is a company you would say, well, it doesn't look too good, but I'll tell you what, this slope is slow and steady, and it goes up. I don't care what 12-month period you slice and dice it, you're doing well. So I just stick with it. It's been profitable, good dividend, 3%. Fluence, again, we talked about how bad it is, and I mean they just took it down. I mean this is just brutal, and it's 3 days of hard selling, and again probably we're gonna get out of it. You know, I just had to dig. I didn't have time to dig why they lost money, and they couldn't. You know, you can blame everything, but you shouldn't lose money, not after two profitable quarters. People need that consistency. They don't need to find out you can't spend money, manage money, and do all this stuff. And Bloom Energy, no dividend, but solid, and we're going to stick with it. Let's look at the week. Oh my God, look at the text, man. Red, 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 red. Who took the beating? Well, Amazon, 12% down. We remember initial stake, we're in it still. Oracle, we got in Broadcom, but that was actually good. Nvidia came back 3.5% today. Microsoft, the software stocks. I mean, look at these software stocks. Palantir's not exempt either. But what's green? Financials, medical, energy, utilities, industrials, retail, Home Depot, you know, up 2.5%. So Apple doing good. So, you know, look at the software. I mean, these things are just like, oh, it can't get any worse. Sure can. All can get worse. I mean, look at this. You know, people got into it, double digits. ServiceNow, double digit loss. I mean, these have just been tough areas. So, long show. I know it's it there. We got to have a lot of earnings, and we're not going to just sit there. You know, this one thing nice about this show is, you know, if you have an hour show to cover the market, you got to do it all in an hour, and we can just do it till we cover what we think is important, which was a lot of stuff. Next week will be shorter. Should be a quieter week. There'll be earnings coming out, you know, for the next 2 weeks for sure. But all the big ones are out there. We got to wait for Nvidia back in the end of March, and then we'll be out. Okay. So I will talk to you later, and we'll see you then.